So today, March 30th, we've got something a little weird going on. So you might have noticed that Michael and I are wearing matching shirts. We also have matching coffee mugs. Thank you, Bluebeam. Now, we're also on matching BIMbox laptops. What isn't matching is our strategy for today. So I will be using a Microsoft Surface Pro as well as a Samsung Note phone, and I'm going to show you what Bluebeam interaction options are with both of those devices, and Michael's going to be showing you the iOS side of things. So I'm currently getting my Surface linked up to my studio session, and we'll go from there. So if you haven't joined one of our morning coffee reviews before, thanks for coming. We're here to talk about Bluebeam. And look at that. We got a ghost from the past. Hey, Patrick, how you doing? So thanks everybody for coming in. Yep, that's all right. Thanks for joining us today. Hello out there on YouTube land. We are doing YouTube Live right now.
So
on the screen, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start off with going over what the interaction would look like collaborating with someone maybe out in the field, and then we'll do the showdown while you get yours loaded up, right?
Yep.
Good morning, Patrick. Hope all is well from the land of the other side. So I'm in a studio session now, which is live collaboration on 2D or 3D PDFs. For those of us that are using a iPad that are trying to collaborate on a 3D PDF, the iPad does not open 3D PDF, so please be aware of that. And I think we're going to test that today, right, for you, Jason, that we're going to test 3D PDFs on your end. Is that correct?
If I can get one shared up to the studio fast enough, then yes.
Okay, so we'll try to see if the Surface Pro, that's a great another indicator. Hey, why would I use an iPad versus Surface Pro? Could I see a 3D PDF on my Surface Pro or on my iPad? You can't see them on the iPad. I've tested it before, but let's say we have somebody out in the field and we want to see what they're doing. So Joe over here is my field guy. He's going to join the session, and we're not sharing from my iPad. I'm sharing from my desktop. But I am going to see Joe out in the field as he connects to the internet here in a second because he's having a slow morning. He obviously didn't have his cup of coffee, and now he's getting ready to connect. So Joe just connected. Again, he's from my iPad here. I'm on my iPad, and we're going to see what Joe's working on. So he's going to open up a second floor reference plan. And how do we see this over here in the join session? I can see that Joe Demo has joined and what PDF he's on. I am also able to follow attendees. So it's a little bit different from someone not using a mouse, because usually you'll see where their mouse is going with Stylists. But from here, all I have to do is right click and say follow attendee, and it's already going to open the document to where he's at. It's also going to move when he moves. So Joe's here. Let me focus that. So as I scroll out, the PDF also is going to scroll out, right? So as he's scrolling around, looking for a blank spot in this PDF here somewhere to make a markup, here we go. Yes, there's a ton of markups. I do a ton of demos. He's going to make a revision cloud. I'm watching him make the revision cloud. He can even be out in the field getting ready to take a photo of whatever issue he's trying to revision. So we can go over here and let me just take a picture of Jason and myself. Cheese, look this way. Great. It's a weird photo of me, but that's fine. It's attached again to the markup. So I can click on it and look, there we are, a little grainy. I think I should upgrade my iPad, right, Jason, probably to the Pro so I have a better camera, but.
You really should. To a Samsung.
To a Samsung, okay.
Or a Surface Pro.
Surface Pro. That is just collaborating with somebody out in the field. So if anyone has any questions about this so far, feel free to ask. But from now, I think I will share from my iPad what it looks like when I'm using it out in the field. So let me go through and stop share here. Actually, you know what, Jason, let's start with your version so then we compare and contrast so I can see what you have versus what I have.
Oh, on my Surface?
Yeah, let's do your Surface first.
All right, so let's go over here to Zoom and do this. And there we go.
Yes.
I'm going to share my screen.
The question from Chris was, the iPad app is $10, correct? And we will show you why it is $10 versus a full version of a licensed version from the Surface, right?
Yes. All right, so here we go. This white little cursor is my right hand on my Surface Pro mouse pad. And then I'm viewing this over here. So I'm in a sort of confused world here. But I have opened up, I'm sharing my screen to show Bluebeam Review. And I'm in my studio. Michael and I have our own little Morning Coffee Revu studio session set up that allows us to share files and things like that. And I've loaded up a 3D PDF inside of this studio. So here's test number one. I have no idea if this will work. And a Surface Pro, open up a 3D PDF. So far, so good. Okay.
So it probably takes a little longer to load because the operating system is probably it isn't as efficient as what it would be for our laptops, but it still loads.
It's not terrible. It zooms in and out okay. This is a Surface Pro 5. So this is a couple years old. It's not the latest and greatest. I can select things just fine.
You still can. Wow.
So this is a Windows-based tablet, right? So from this Windows-based tablet, I can do everything that Bluebeam can do. It doesn't appear that I have any limitations on what is available to me inside of the software on a Surface Pro.
So I will put +1 for Jason here on my little notepad.
I was going to say, we should have a scoreboard in the back.
I am. 3D PDF.
So this works okay. What else do we want to test? We want to test, go to your iPad. What happens when you try to open a 3D PDF? Will it even show up if you were to connect to the same studio session?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't show up. The cost of a Surface is $300 or the license for the Surface, Chris? Is that what's your question? License.
It's the same as a Windows license.
Yeah.
So
same as a Windows
huge
license.
Plus there for the iOS because it's only $10. But whatever your cost is for your license on your Windows device, it's going to be the same for a Surface Pro. Yep. Now, there is a little sort of loophole in there when it comes to unregistering, where you can sign out of your work one and then sign into your Surface one and share that license. But we're not supposed to talk about that.
You have to unregister your license in order to use it on a different device. So in order for you to unregister it, you have to just go to the top left. And once it's been registered already, you don't have to worry about re-inputting your licensor because it's already saved there natively. So you are allowed to unregister your license and use it on another device. Again, unregister and then you re-register it. It turns into view mode when you unregister your license.
So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll hit unregister.
Yep. There's documentation on reviews on Bluebeam's website that states how you can do this as well.
So I'm now in view mode. So I can still view PDFs and participate in studio sessions. So I could get right back to where I was. But got a little bit of a lag time here. So now if I go up to the top, there is an option. Register. My control highlight doesn't work on a Surface, but if I hit register again, it will pull up my information.
And it already remembers his serial number and product key, so he doesn't have to remember it himself. He just has to hit OK.
Correct. Now, I can still get to my studio sessions if I access it through my email, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So there isn't a specific button for that I'm not seeing because my Zoom controls are blocking me.
Oh, it's because you're over here. You need to go into, you're in presenter mode. So you're in viewer mode. So bottom right, you see this little square? It's blue with the little square around it.
Oh, I don't see what you see because you're not sharing.
No, your screen. No, you
Oh.
have it. It's in yours. Yours in presenting mode in the view mode right here. Go up. See that little blue
Oh,
square?
no, because my Zoom camera is blocking everybody. There we go.
Yeah. Now he's still in viewer mode. Now you can still access a session when you're in view mode, which is what I do from my iPad if I'm inviting a sub who doesn't want to pay for a license, either the full version from the Surface Pro or the $10 app. If you invite somebody to a studio session, they still have the ability to mark up. There are limitations in studio sessions, though. Like you can't create a custom column, you can't modify statuses, you can't combine PDFs, right? There are limitations in a session, but you can still mark up a PDF with all of your markup tools in a session, okay? But there are outside limitations, of course, that you can't do some things like combine PDFs or insert a blank page. There are some things that you can't do in a session for that very reason if you're not using a license and using the view mode to get into a session, okay?
Correct. So here I've opened up a different PDF file, and I want to show off this. So one of the great parts of the Surface is that you have this really nice stylus available to you. And if I had an extra screen, I could move all my zoom controls. It would give me my markups. But
Jason,
instead,
do you remember what year Studio started? I forget which year Studio Sessions and Studio Project started. They were in 2 different years, I believe. But you just said you had 2018, and they were created before then, so you're good.
this is my coffee cup. There we go.
Yes, Chad, to clarify, the VU app does allow you to mark up. I was using that app in my iPad in the session that I was invited to by a licensee holder myself. So if you have any subs out there that don't want to pay for the license, they can download the viewer mode. So you downloaded the 30-day trial and then keep it on the Surface. So after any 30-day trial, it'll turn into view mode.
Correct.
Which is the optimal viewer, in my opinion, to other softwares, because you can still make measurements in view mode. They just do not stay on the PDF. So even if you're not owning a license of Revu, or someone isn't that you know, tell them to download Revu. It's a great viewer as well.
Absolutely. And that is a great way to get around, the unregistration of a license and having to buy an additional license. Is just leave it in view mode, connect to it through a studio session, and then you can do your field work, right? So that's part of what we wanted to talk about today was what's the field experience like? Well, I can take my Surface here, try this. Ooh. Here's my Surface. So now I'm out in the field, and I switch to tablet mode, maybe. Let me. Oh, trying to. It doesn't like Zoom today. Yeah. It's taking me back to places it doesn't want to be. All right. See? All right. Where's my... I don't use this thing in tablet mode, so I don't know exactly where my Bluebeam is.
I highly recommend on your mobile devices that you are using actively out in the field, getting an actual license of Revu. Because the one thing you don't want to do is go out into the field and you try to do something and you have the headache of trying to figure out how you're going to be able to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So worry aside, that is my preferred method. But I will also show you from the $10 standpoint on the iPad, which is a plus on my end because it's $10, Jason.
Ooh. this thing is.
Yep, that is a win. Exactly, Chris. So the win for iOS team. The only downside that I've seen so far is the clunkiness of the UI, and then the not 3D PDF. So if you can get past those, I'm an Apple user. I've always been an avid Apple user for my mobile devices. Let me go into here, share screen.
I have had iPhones and iPads and MacBooks, and they're fine. I wasn't going to bash on them today. I just don't have one because somewhere I got smarter and switched over.
So the latency is Zoom on my iPad. It's not very efficient. So if you're thinking, well, it's super slow, the interface isn't slow when I'm using any of these apps. I do have drawings over here on the left to my view. So we'll go over drawings for a little bit as well. But Bluebeam View is the app on the iPad. I'm going to click on it. It is going to open up. I was already in a session, but let me actually log out of this ID, Joe, and let me log into myself. So now that we know the difference here, that Surface Pro is exactly the same as what you see on your desktop. It's not at Gmail.
However, it is much, much slower. So my Surface Pro was struggling with broadcasting through Zoom and running Bluebeam Review. If you had a newer Surface, something with a newer processor and more RAM, it might do okay. It doesn't work as a presentation device, so you wouldn't want to necessarily bring it out in a conference room or something like that and try to share your display, but it does work fine because it's the same thing that you're getting in the desktop experience. But you get the additional portability of it. I mean, it's super portable. I love the little flap thing on the back that works as a good handle. And then it has a great camera. So again, if we're in the field and we're taking measurements of something, or we're taking, photos of issues in the field, we can add those right to our Surface project or our Studio project without any issues.
Sorry, I didn't want you all to see my password. As I was typing it in, I saw that it was putting in the indication.
Well, that's fine. So while you're doing that, we'll go ahead and answer some questions. So off topic, but is there a way to measure and add dimensions of the same thing? So you want to add a line that's 5 feet or a rectangle that's 5 by 5. There is a way. It's not super efficient. Remember, Bluebeam Review is not CAD. So for those of us who use CAD on a daily basis, it's not the same. But it can be done through looking at your properties, and you can make some adjustments to links through there, and that will depend on what drawing scale you have. Now, of course, once you have that set up, you could go in and add that to your tool set, tool chest, and set that up accordingly. Good question. Thanks for that. Another question. Can you mark up a drawing without Studio? Well, yes, you can certainly mark up a drawing without Studio, but that does require a full version of Bluebeam Review, standard, CAD, or extreme. So the view mode will make markups, but they don't necessarily stick. They don't really work well for that. You do need a fully licensed version of that to get that to work.
Great. So I'm back on the iPad here. So this is the interface for those of us who have never seen the iPad UI. Usually on the left-hand side between the drop-down, I
always
believe.
Use black.
Yeah, but you see things. I can see it. This is myself. I can see the things up at the top.
Okay.
You're scaring me. I believe usually the paid version, the markups you still see in between the triangle and the little almost at squiggly line. But if I click that drop down on the top left, we'll start here. That is my tool chest that it starts out with. So this is your tool chest if you're going through and making markups, right? That we've all seen natively in Review if you have the paid for version. Then next is your thumbnails that you have. You also have the ability to search for content and also measurements from here. The next one over will be any file access that you had. So your recent file access, if I want to go through any of those. I have a 3D PDF here. Yeah, I think so. We'll try from there. The next one is my synced files or my files that I've downloaded to the area as well. So I'm going to hit home. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go into Studio now. So here's Studio. And I've been through this session before. We were marking it up earlier. I'm going to try and access that 3D PDF here. This one is the 3D PDF. And let's see what happens. Yeah, there's my 3D PDF, folks. So we got a drop down from a -1 now from my +2 of $10. And what was my other plus? I forget. $10 and something else. But that's the 3D PDF can't be open. So I'm going to close it out. I'm going to go and open up another PDF here. From there. And now we are in a session. So I now have access to my markups. As you all can see at the top right, there's a little A. It's hiding right behind the record button. Not the record. Yeah, I think that's a record button. And when I click it, I then have my markups. So my markups are on the right-hand side. I have the text, the pen, the signature, the highlight, the call out, the revision cloud, the rev cloud plus, the cloud plus, sorry. My speak here, I have camera. I don't know what that one is. Let's see. Oh, it's adding a note. Yep. And then
I'm going to interrupt you there, Michael. What does speak do? Because that's a function we do not have on our desktops.
I think it allows you to record something, but I don't know if it's to the document. Yes, use my microphone. Hello, everybody. There is an issue in sector 1210. Red alarm. That deleted it. I don't know how you can attach it. Maybe you'd have to hit this and then attach it to that. Issue in sector 1210. Oh, there we go. I placed it.
Uh-oh. We're finding something cool here. I read it. I said it. Something cool about the islands.
Yep. Issue in sector 1210.
There we go. So
that's
plus
another
1 for iOS.
+1.
That is super cool because sometimes, you don't have enough room to put your whole markup, and sometimes it's really hard to put what you want into words that are summarized. So you could go on and record a nice long thing to say, hey, electrical outlet is wrong type or whatever. We can do all sorts of things with that. So very cool.
I usually do it the adverse without that, which would be selecting the call out and adding a comment by speak to text, right? That's what I do in the iPad.
Now you can express your dissatisfaction in audio. Good one, Patrick. Absolutely. I'm gonna jump right in here and answer Brittany's question because it's Brittany and I get to because she's awesome. So thanks for coming, Brittany. Good question here. Is the standard workflow that a project manager uses a full suite of Bluebeam on a powerful PC to do the links and do the markups and everything, and then save it to a shared space and then proceed with review studio sessions from there so the field can play with it without having a supercomputer on site? Now, you don't really need a supercomputer either way. My Surface could upload and do what I want. It can do markups. There is a noticeable difference from using my Surface Pro and using my BIMbox laptop. Night and day. But then again, it's kind of very unfair going from, something kind of weak to, the Ferrari of computers. Now, from there, I would recommend that the super or project manager is in control of what plans are published. And you can publish from either device, but you want someone to be that PM who's managing everything that goes out in PDF format onto your studio project or your studio session. And from there, once it's shared, and that can be through Studio Session or through Bluebeam Drawings. I'll segue to that if I can. Here's my Note 20 Ultra cell phone.
Are you going to join from there, or do you want me to open up drawings? Okay.
But there's a drawing there. So you don't need anything super powerful. I can zoom in and, see what I want on my phone. So your field crew can be on their Android device, their iOS device, anything with an internet connection. And that's where the problem lies, right? Sometimes our fields, our sites don't always have internet connection. Sometimes we're hard to get a signal. So that's where things get a little tricky if you're relying on the drawings part of it. Now, in a studio session or a project from a iOS or a iPad or a Surface Pro, you can still have the drawing open while you are disconnected from the internet. But you're not going to get any updates, and if there's any markups, you're not going to see them until you get reconnected.
So you can, though, in drawings, download your PDFs before you go out to the field. So I'm going to open up as drawings from my iPad. This is a free app. You can have anybody download drawings. They don't have to pay to get access to drawings. It's free viewing of PDFs up to date. You can even see revision histories as well. Just be aware that in order for you to be an uploader to drawings, you have to have active maintenance on your license, okay? So when I click this file share here, these are documents that were uploaded by a PM maybe, which is myself for this instance. I see all the drawings. I can even see the revision histories of them. As you look at S0.1, there's been 5 revisions. That means people have uploaded, myself, 5 different sets for the same PDF that it replaced, okay? Now, when I click on one, I still have access to everything that's happening in the document. Let me go to one that actually has some section cuts that I can over and click. So these sections still work. And actually, this was a question that someone asked, can I upload a dashboard to drawings and then link those hyperlinks to a Google Drive? I haven't tested it yet, so maybe we'll test that. I'm going to test it this week and then get back to everyone on that. But links do work in here. So if I click on this section cut here that had the link, it'll say, do you want to open something? And I hit open, yes, it brings me to that page. So links still works in drawings here. But again, this isn't meant to mark up PDFs. It's meant to get quick documents quickly to people out in the field. They don't have to go and print out the set. We don't have to go and ruin trees for no reason. They already have a mobile device, hopefully. I don't think I've met anyone yet that doesn't have a mobile device. But if they don't have a mobile device, I guess paper sets, or they go to somebody that has a mobile device and they look at their phone. Anyways, you can always go up to here to whatever version you had downloaded. So the only one that I had downloaded, there was past 5, I think, for this one, is up to version 4. So I can go back to an older version maybe to see the revision. And as you can see, this is not the current set. It's warning me and telling me that it's not the current set. Again, this is Drawings, free app. Anybody can download it. They don't need to be connected to the internet, as long as when they are near the internet, they download the new updated sets to their iPad or their mobile device.
And this looks the same as my Android version. So question from Chad in the chat. He downloaded the drawing app on the Note 20. No drawings are published. In order to get drawings from your office up onto drawings.bluebeam.com or the drawings app, you have to publish it. And those are only accessible if they're part of the studio. So for me, when I did it, is I just went to the website on my desktop computer and uploaded it there without using Bluebeam at all.
But you have to have active maintenance on your license to do that.
Correct. And that's the big part. Your IT folks, or the easy way to check is if you have, the latest and greatest version. If you're in version 20 or 20.2.15, the absolute latest version, it's safe to say you're on maintenance.
Yep.
But if
So
you
all,
go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry, you're good.
Oh, so if you don't have active maintenance on your personal review account, you cannot upload. However, you can view.
So for those of us that have never seen drawings before, this is the URL login. Again, it doesn't have to be from the app. You can log in from the URL. Basically, when you get into drawings, you'll see all projects. It works off of Studio Projects back. You can create a new project or access an active project that you've created. Again, I was in the file share on my iPad. I'm going to click it. And then from here, we see all of the PDFs that have been uploaded. You will not see this button if you do not have maintenance and you are not assigned an uploader, okay? So you can have maintenance and maybe not still see this because you need to go into your gateway and be assigned as an uploader to drawings. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. If it doesn't,
Getting a little bit in the weeds on the gateway stuff, but it takes. This is again where your PM in the office or your super in the office is going to have special permissions to publish these things for everybody. This isn't for everybody to have access to.
So you'll see drawings uploaded, and that's the old one. So maybe that was it. But you'll be able to manage. Oh, here it is. That's why. You'll be able to activate specific people to upload sheets, right? And you can see I'm at 11 sheets uploaded. You get a certain amount of sheets uploaded to drawings per your type of license, I believe it is. I'll have to
So
look.
we have 150 licenses here at ATG, and from there we're allowed 100,000 sheets. So you can do the math on what user can upload, and then you can filter down from there who is able to do so. So if you wanted, 3 users to take all 100,000 sheets, you could certainly do that and not have to split it up.
Jason's uploaded way more sheets than me.
I don't know how that works.
Is that a +1 for?
No, because I just
Windows?
uploaded for the first time this morning. So.
So back to drawings, I still have a review set. So as you publish something, you'll be able to see that something's done processing. And excuse me. What that means is you get to decide, is the sheet number correct that it pulled the data from? Is the sheet title and the discipline and also the issue date, any revision information you want to provide to it, and then you publish sheets. And when you publish sheets, I'll publish this set so we can see also from my iPad, what does it look like? So I'll stop share here, go back to here, start broadcast. I know we're switching through a bunch of different things, but I hope this is helpful. Maybe I need to refresh it. There we go. So it says one update available, updated 1 minute ago. So it even tells you when that person updated it to the server. So now I can go and say, great, let me click on it, and it's showing me what it needs. So it says one update available, 2.3 megabyte space required. So do I even have that on my device to download it locally, right? Because it's caching it locally to your device. So you, again, don't have to have internet. And I'm going to say download.
Oh, please delete almost a terabyte. That's weird.
So I need to go through and delete some stuff on my iPad.
On Nick's iPad.
Company iPad. That's not my user. It is a company iPad. I didn't steal this iPad, everyone.
So I think that answers Chris's question. Can you sync between Studio and Drawings? So from Studio, you would need to publish that through Drawings, and then on the drawing side, you will be notified that you have an update available. So that's really nice because it's going to say, hey, you're using an outdated set of plans. And that's what we're trying to avoid with the old paper way. Was this plan set printed on Monday or was it Wednesday? Hard to tell if you're not looking at the little date on the screen, or not on the screen, on the title block, but that also assumes that someone updated the title block. We're back here in Michael's share of drawings on the web version.
I'll go into Studio and see if anyone has any questions pertaining to this. Let's see here.
Ooh, good
No
question.
questions
Good question from Chris again.
in the chat.
In the drawings, the links that you have, so if you're linking using those hyperlinks, you have to do that before you upload.
Yes, because you can't do them in drawings. So those were done in a licensed version of Review, because you can't do them also in here either, right? Because in a session, nope, can't do hyperlink. Outside of a session, you can. And I prefer the batch. So for those of us that don't have batch, because you don't have a full version of, don't have extreme review, you can batch hyperlink, which is my preferred method, or you can already have this done outside of your design environment, at least from Revit you can. Let me add open files. You can easily go and say select page region from here to, oh, no, I don't want the name, hold on. Oh, no, cancel.
Slow down, buddy.
Yeah, too much coffee this morning. So it's going to then generate. So I'm saying, hey, look on every single area for this information and generate. And it's going to do that for all of these. And it created 94 links. And now I can just go over here and click it, and it's going to bring me to wherever it is. You can even go to here. That's preferred over non-extreme because you're going to have a really fun time going around and clicking this hyperlink feature here and having to single click every single one and tell it where to go versus the batch feature, which is an extreme version only.
Good question. If you've got more, keep them coming.
Or not enough coffee.
Right. Then the set can then be uploaded to drawings, correct, and all of these links would work.
So when you're uploading the drawings, two ways. Let me go into file share here. When you upload, you can either pick from an active project in your studio. So, right, like I can say add from the project here, and I can pick whatever is active in that project. Or I can just drag and drop or upload from computer. Can you drag and drop? I don't want to say something wrong. Hold on.
One way to find out.
Yeah.
So you're saying that there is not a way to publish something to drawings directly from Bluebeam Review?
Correct. There's not. You can, however, what can connect is studio projects and sessions. So you can, and it's not in here, cancel upload. Drawings separate, right? So remember, Bluebeam's the company, Review's a software, and Drawings is a software, okay? Studio is in Review, which is the software is Review, okay? So from here, projects, I can say, hey, I want a session. So if you folks are having field people and you want to have an up-to-date area where all your documents live, you can do that by having your documents live in a studio project. I highly suggest if you do the studio project route, creating a dashboard for your studio project PDFs. That way everyone can interact in it in a more visual manner, and people haven't seen a dashboard, I'll bring it up right now after this. But in order to create a session out of a project, all you have to do is right click on whatever documents you want to create a session for, and then you say add to new session. And it will add to the new session or the session that's already been created for the project. You can add a secondary document to that session as well. It'll then create a session. Any markups made in that session, once you finish the session, can be pushed back into the project because it checks out the PDF and then checks it back in. So then again, you can live collaborate with multiple project partners. Now, dashboards, for those folks that haven't seen a dashboard, I have created a white paper on digital dashboards. So if you want to check that out. Okay, I think you were answering a question, Kyle, for someone that asked it maybe. Digital dashboards, instead of having someone trying to navigate all of these file structures for either the owner of the building project, or maybe the GC, or maybe any of the subs, they don't have to go through navigate. As me being the architect, I don't have to say, hey, this is where the files live, this is where everything works. Just create a digital dashboard where everything lives anyways. And then you have a dashboard interface, which shows you how to navigate everything in this file structure. They don't have to go through this clunky old school way of going through file structures. They can just go through this interactive dashboard. They can hit home from here. They're trying to access some kind of documents like, let's say, drawings, the architectural sets, and elevations. They can click elevations. It's going to open up wherever it was stored in the project, and then they can hit OK, and it's going to open up that elevation for me.
This really makes it easy, because I have seen some projects get way out of control, including my own, where you just get lost in folders and bad names and all this other stuff. This dashboard functionality is amazing.
Agreed. And it, again, has a web browser, so this one actually has a button that brings up some weather. And we all know Review interface has a web browser in it. And apparently I never knew where that button was. Jason pointed it out one day to me.
Window web tab. Control T is your hotkey for that one. I'll take the 80-degree weather though. Can a dashboard and files be exported to a server while maintaining the navigation from the dashboard?
So how dashboard links work. So if you wanted the dashboard not to open up from a studio project because you have government work that won't allow you to have it on a cloud-based solution, that's fine. But just be aware, people have to have access to wherever your documents live, right? So if these links don't open up to a dashboard in projects, they open up to a local relative path. They just, again, relative being that it's going to look for the file name, I think, versus, I forget the relative versus the non-relative. If Kyle's still here, he could help me with that. But they, again, just have to have access to wherever the documents are stored. That's why I prefer the projects, because I was saying relative versus non-relative path for links opening up, the difference between it.
Full path versus relative.
Yes.
At least on the AutoCAD side is that full path requires the drive letter, whereas relative will ignore it.
Yeah, I think it's the what Jason just said. But again, they just have to have access to it. John, to your question, yes, it can live on a file server location. The links just have to locate that where they are, and people have access to them. The benefit of putting it in a project is you can invite them to a project. And again, that person doesn't have to have license of review to get into a project. They can download the viewer of Bluebeam Review and get access to the project. That doesn't mean they can go in here, though, and check out PDFs and mark them up, because, again, they have the viewer mode. If they wanted to mark up PDFs, they would have to pay for a license of review. But they could still come in here and navigate through this dashboard.
And that's the key thing here. Imagine someone who's never used Bluebeam Review before, right? If they open up the view mode, they get to the dashboard. It's not intimidating. It's well laid out. It's very customizable. Sometimes Bluebeam Review can be intimidating. So the dashboard takes that away, makes it easy for anybody to navigate. Good question. Thanks for those. Another question from Chris. What would be better, a dashboard or a PDF package? Well, that depends. Dashboard is going to be easier to navigate, of course, right? If you get the PDF package, then you've just got a stack of files everywhere. But they both contain the same information. It's just, how do you want to go about it?
Yeah, how do you want to go about distributing your files, right? Alrighty.
We got about 15 minutes left on our little live stream here. Of course, if you have questions, use that question and answer box. We'll check in with our assistant to see if we've got anything coming over from YouTube. All good in the hood. All right.
So who won in the showdown? I think it comes up to preference, right? If I had a choice myself, I'm an avid Apple user. I like the mobile devices for Apple. But honestly, I would prefer the UI to look the same, and it doesn't. It is a little bit clunky and takes a little while to get used to, but after you get used to where everything's at, it does become a little bit easier. I do not like the fact that you cannot open up a 3D PDF, because I think 3D PDFs are a game changer, with the ability to actually see the elements in a quote unquote model, which is portable document format for 3D PDFs, though, is huge. And Jason and I have talked about that before. Like he said, I wonder why this light went out. Like Jason said before, he talked about how he doesn't use Revit.
Oh, looks like you froze, or maybe I froze, but he did. All right, so I'll just
He's
jump in.
He's not a
there.
Revit person.
There we go. You're back.
I froze. But Jason, as Jason and I talked about before, 3D PDFs are huge. He's not a Revit person, and he's afraid to go into a model and mess it up. And you could send 3D PDFs not just to someone like that, but also to coordinate anything within a model and see what's happening.
And I think I was thinking about this, like, how do I stack the deck against our little showdown here? And I think it really comes down to, what do you have? There are a lot of firms that have already issued Surfaces. There's a lot of firms that have already issued iPads. They both work fine. If I were outfitting my firm with a new set of equipment, though, I would go towards the window base, because how similar, how identical the workflow is. So if you're in your office, you're working on your computer, then you go to your Surface, it's going to look the same. You don't have to relearn anything new. You get all the same functions. If you need to do markups or whatever, that's what I would do. However, that is significantly more expensive.
I agree.
But if I had an iPad, I could still do everything I needed to. I could view the drawings. I could participate in sessions. I can do my markups. I can do that really cool voice thing. So that's not bad either. But there is something to be said for similar interfaces.
Chris said, I have field users using iOS, Android, and Windows. So there's a mix of both, right? I think it's going to come down to what the company is providing, or the individual user already has, right? And for those of us that didn't know, we offer training on both. So Jason Artley would be more of the trainer on the Surface Pro. Myself would be on the iPad. So we do offer training on both, on how they would be used, how to get access to projects and work on a PDF in a project to check it out, and also how to use studio sessions from the iPad as well. So if you're trying to equip your team with any of that.
Yeah, there our chat assistant will be putting in some email addresses in our chat in a little bit that will give you access if you are interested in more training or other information, or want to see our YouTube channel. In case you're not viewing this on YouTube, you'll be able to check those things out. So with 10 minutes left, we'll call that good. as far as the showdown. So are we going to call it a tie? Are we going to call it it depends? Or am I just going to say, get the Surface, your iPad's done?
I'm going to say it's a... They're different, but they're different. I think it comes down to the person who's using it, right? Or what the firm's going to pay for. It's kind of what it comes down to.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, let's go answer some of these off-topic questions. So we got a great question here from Chris. When making a shape sketch, how do I get rid of the little text bubble that shows the area when you open in Adobe? Don't open in Adobe. Problem solved. Or flatten your markup.
Yep, flatten your markup.
So Bluebeam is a competitor to Adobe. They don't really want to play nice together, even though they are both opening up those PDF, those portable document format files. So those markups do not appear the same in Adobe, and same thing with Adobe and Bluebeam. There are some things that just don't look right, especially like forms. In order to get this thing to show up properly in Adobe, you need to flatten your markup.
But be aware that Bluebeam Review does follow the International Standard Organization for coding PDFs, so it will open in Adobe.
Still shows up though after it's been flattened. That's a hard one for
bubble.
Us to test because we don't have Adobe loaded on our machines, but
yeah, Chris, we can link up and see what happens from your side and see if we can figure out a solution for you. I'm guessing he's talking about the text bubble. That's the size of it. This. You can always hit Alt-Z, by the way, for those of us that didn't know, resize your, auto-size your text bubble here. All right, any other off-topic questions?
Sketch feature. So draw like a polygon.
With the pen?
Or, the pen? Scale. Ooh. Yeah, that's just pointing to don't use Adobe. I'll take the easy button on that one.
Now the sketch feature to scale.
So your current drawing is not set to scale right now. You can tell that by looking at the bottom right hand corner. It says scale not set. So set your scale and sketch something.
But is he talking about the pen feature or? Because why do I need to set the scale for me using the pen? So that was kind of my question, right? I'm not using any measurements here.
Right. The orange tool to the upper right.
So like a polygon sketch.
Mm-hmm.
Or a sketch to scale.
There you go. So you're saying when that shows up in Adobe, you're seeing the border around it. It shows the square foot. Oh, that's interesting.
So it's showing the caption here. Is your caption showing before you go in? So something's happening with the coding when this is out.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Goes up after. Okay. Don't have an answer for you. I'd love to see that.
Kyle Davis.
Kyle's on it. Kyle's on the case. Kyle is from our support team. If you haven't tried ATG support, you're missing out. Kyle and all of the other amazing folks on our support team really strive to provide a level of service that is almost unheard of in the software space. And I don't think I'm bragging on them too much because it's pretty accurate. Their response time, attention to detail is unmatched. So when it comes to your Bluebeam software needs, support needs, come see us, and then you get access to Kyle and his team of experts.
Agreed.
Is that for a commercial? All right.
Clip that and post it. Post a note. Any other questions pertaining to anything that we went over today? iOS, Surface Pro, Studio Projects, Studio Sessions, drawings. We appreciate everyone coming out today and hanging out with Jason and myself. Remember, 15 minutes early if you want to come in and hang out and talk about anything you'd like. I will now have coffee makers showing up on my Google all day today.
Right. Last week we talked about beans and to get them from that one place that I don't remember that I forgot, and Google didn't remind me. And then today we've got new coffee makers. So I would imagine that UPS is going to be showing up real soon
with some coffee making.
Because I'm getting low on beans.
I am out of beans too today. When I went to go make coffee, I had to use my Nespresso instead of using my regular drip coffee or French press. And you have an aromatic.
I have an AeroPress and a French press, and I used them both this week. Okay. And then I got my regular drip guy that's set on a timer, which is usually my go-to. Coffee's ready when I go upstairs. It's just done.
Good old drip coffee. Made ground drip coffee today. Yeah, Patrick.
And, you know, this is a very nice coffee mug. I'm very happy with this one.
They are nice.
My coffee is still nice and warm, so thanks again, Bluebeam.
The only downside to the Yeti is if you make too hot of a coffee pot, because then it stays too hot for too long and you can't drink it, right? So I always have to take I had to take the lid off always.
All right. All right, so this is part of our morning coffee review. We're doing this every Tuesday morning. So at 8:30 Central, join us, bring your questions. We'll answer them live. We don't have a topic yet for next week, but you'll probably see a teaser. We like to post them on LinkedIn. So if you follow Michael or myself, you'll see a little teaser video of what we're planning on talking about to sort of plant the seed to bring in those questions for next Tuesday. If you've got something in mind in particular that you would like us to discuss, fire away, put it in the chat or email it to us. That way we can plan around making a presentation. So sometimes we'll talk about dashboards or studio projects, or like we did today, the iOS versus Android. We've got quite the list of things that we still have up our sleeve, but if there's something in particular that you, the viewer, would like to see, let us know.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not incorrect, they will be able to do a survey after they leave, where they can put that in, I believe. Is that right still?
I believe that is true.
We'll wait for... Correct. Yep. So you will get a survey at the end.
Going back, I did see Brittany's question about studio projects. It was out in like 2014, somewhere around there. So you should have access to all the studio functions, both project and session, in your version of 2018.
I answered that earlier, Jason.
Did you? Okay. I was probably distracted by my
you were
Surface Pro.
You're trying to log in. And Carrie went with the sugar-free Red Bull, but an iced latte sounds great. Hey, whatever gets you kicking in the morning, totally fine. Not against it.
All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap up for the day. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for your questions. We hope to see you next week. And of course, if this session and all of our other great content is on the YouTube channel, so if you go to the YouTube link that was put inside of the chat box, you'll be able to see content for Bluebeam, Revit, AutoCAD, Civil 3D, Navisworks, whatever you're into. There should be something in there to help you do your job.
Yep. Thanks everyone for coming out today. Again, feel free to join 15 minutes early next week. You'll see a teaser video just like Jason was talking about. Feel free to put any suggestions that you have for next week in your ending comment survey, sorry. And that will allow us to give us a better idea of what you all want to hear. Because again, we want to hear and talk about what you all want to talk about, okay? So put that in there. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. Anything else from your side, closing, Jason?
I'm good. We'll see you next week.
All right. See you all next week. Thank you.